Here we can see in this partition the realization of an idea that I had when we had people coming into the exhibition. We wanted them to experience the geology of the environment, but here they can experience the macrocosm and microcosm, or those aspects of environment. And we can see that throughout the work. We have a motif running from the far left to the right, and here we see a series of planets. They're our planet. This is the late Triassic. This is when the dinosaurs were first evolving. We can see the early Jurassic. We can see ongoing late Jurassic, the early Cretaceous, the late Cretaceous, and moving into our time. And in each one of these globes, we can actually see the breakup of certain continents and the collision of certain continents. So there we see a true macrocosm element of environment, the main forces that are driving environment. We also see throughout the work various maps of tectonic plates breaking apart. We see maps of the main range, and there's also illustrations in here as well. Gillian's really been involved in the plants. I got involved in illustrating the ferns, but I also have done a lot of volcanic drawings. So something that's fascinating to me is when I look back and think about the history of Toowoomba. I mean, when we drive down the Toowoomba range, in actual fact, it's like going through a time warp. We've moved from tertiary times, 20 million, 18 million years ago, to Jurassic times, so it's 120 million years ago. So those sorts of aspects are wound up in this kind of work as well. This isn't just a journey through the macrocosm and microcosm of landscape, it's actually a journey through deep time. This is a work that I refer to as Chapter 2 of our partition work. In this work, I wanted to highlight the rifting of Australia from Antarctica. And you could see if the ocean was drained, we'd see these huge ridge sorts of formations where the actual Earth's crust has been torn apart as these huge continents have torn themselves from each other. Another concept that was really I wanted to bring forth in this work was the idea of life as being not only physical shapes such as ourselves, the plants, animals, fungi, the different kingdoms of life. At the same time, life is a liquid that flows through space and time. And you can see throughout the work there is flowing line work that I've put in amongst Gillian's fantastic plant drawings that represent that. Indeed, the cladogram, the evolutionary tree, which highlights the different groups of plants, is all linked together with my line work that references this idea that our bodies are the banks of rivers, and these rivers are rivers of DNA that flow through space and flow through time.
This is a diptych that Ben put together of all my drawings of the vines. There were 18 species of vines up there in the Boyce Gardens, and these have all been put together. I used a flowing line through every picture so that it would have a continuous theme. They range in size from the tiny little leaves of the Pandaria, the Wonga vine, to the great big ones of Legnephora, which are as big as a dinner plate, or can be as big as a dinner plate. Some of these vines are quite common. You get them outside rainforest, and this one here, for instance, is growing in my garden, and smilax is common in all sorts of places with what are called vine thickets, which are very remnant pieces of rainforest that has dried out so only a few species remain. So here you have all the different vines that are up there in the Boyce Gardens.
Across this work are scanned drawings of the plants of the Boyce Garden. The architecture of the work is based on a balance between two pictorially dominant maps. The first map occupies the entire picture plane and is a map of the current locations of Nothophagus, which is the Antarctic beach. Antarctic beach dominated this area about 80 million years ago. We're not completely sure on that, but that is a strong possibility. Now Antarctic beach exists in Australia. These yellow points here, this is along the Lamington Plateau. You can see it from walks based at O'Reilly's and Binnaburra. It's also in the Otways and Gippsland, in Tasmania, throughout New Zealand, and in South America. I believe fossils of Antarctic beach have been found in Antarctica about 3 million years ago. And obviously you can see Australia's southern coastline matches up quite closely with the Antarctic coastline. So you can see that they are actually once joined together. The other map is Australia again, in a different location, and it highlights the evolution and proliferation of flowering plants across the globe. It's not that clear, you'd have to look very closely, but we believe that flowering plants, one belief is that flowering plants evolved in the Rift Valley between Africa and South America, which is about here, and then came down through into Australia. Now there's lots of other little details in here. We can see Coolosuchus, which is a large amphibian. I believe it died out in early Cretaceous times, late Jurassic times, and it once lived in Australia. It was when Australia was down as part of Gondwana, much further south than it is now. Of course, wallabies, there's pictures of volcanism. Again, the flowing line drawings, which is something that is a common theme throughout most of my work. That idea that life is also a liquid that flows through space and time, and it's really a metaphor for genetic genes which are passed on from generation to generation. More drawings, illustrations of volcanism. Here I have a photo of the canopy of Antarctic beach, and I can imagine back to 80 million years ago and think about the canopies that we may have seen where Toowoomba is now located, long before the volcanism of Toowoomba. There's other maps here. There's a map of the main range, which is on the floor, and we also have other maps of the volcanism up the east coast of Toowoomba, scanned plants of Antarctic beach, and a map showing the larger scale geology of the Queensland region. A topographical map of the region between Toowoomba and Brisbane, and a lot of these details are very, very faint. The way that I work is that again, the idea of macrocosm and microcosm, those elements of landscape overlaid on top of each other and through each other. So although we may not see all of the details from a distance, when you get close up to the work, you can really see everything that is in here. Smaller maps of Australia rifting from Antarctica again. That's the final breakup of Gondwana. And images of South America. Here, up the top, we can see the biomass, that is the totality of a group of animals, the sum of all those animals through time. And you can see here where a group proliferates, that area actually expands, and when they become extinct, that area pinches at the top and they die out. So in here we have the reptiles, dinosaurs, mammals, birds, amphibians, and so on. And really that's